Welcome, everybody. Cheers. First Chronicles, the heavenly edited history of Israel, Part 1. First and Second Chronicles, originally one book, read a bit like a political spin doctor's work of damage control, turning sad history into glad history. Most of the stories in these two books also appear in First and Second Samuel and First and Second Kings. So Chronicles is a bit of a rerun, but with lots of unhappy scenes not included, like stories of David's affair with Bathsheba or Solomon's worshiping idols in his senior adult years. Those don't make the cut in Chronicles. Censorship, cover-up, and sugarcoating are not what's going on. The Jews know their sad history all too well. They've just returned from generation-long exile in what is now Iraq. God's punishment for their sad history of sinning. The two books of Chronicles, however, seem to be written to answer one burning question the returning Jews have since we broke our covenant with God by sinning so badly that He took away our promised land. Does that mean we're no longer His chosen people? With a carefully crafted history lesson, the writer of Chronicles assures the Jews that they are still God's chosen people. That's the point of the upbeat history. The writer is reminding the Jews about all that God has done for them. God has protected and blessed them throughout the ages, and now He has brought them home from exile for a fresh start. In God's ancient contract with Israel, He promised the nation a second chance. Even though you are banished to the ends of the earth, the Lord your God will gather you from there and bring you back again. The Lord your God will return you to the land that belonged to your ancestors, and you will possess the land again. Then He will make you even more prosperous and numerous than your ancestors. Now God begins delivering on His promise. The main point of this book, God never gives up on people in spite of their sinning. Even after punishing the Jews for centuries of sin by exiling them from Israel, He brings them home for a new beginning. First Chronicles 16:34, His faithful love endures forever. The writer, the book doesn't name the writer. Ancient Jewish tradition says it was written by Ezra, a priest who helped rebuild the Jewish faith and nation after the 50-year exile. His story appears in the book of Ezra and Nehemiah, which we've actually just recently read both of them in full over the last weekend. Two other books Jewish tradition says Ezra wrote. The date. The books of First and Second Chronicles cover about 500 years of Israel's history. This history starts with the first king Saul in the thousands BC, and it ends with the Persian Empire releasing the Jewish exiles, allowing them to go home and rebuild their nation in the 500s BC. The location, Israel, followed by exile in Babylon, an empire based in what is now Iraq. Who's who in the Hebrew family tree. 1 Chronicles 2:1 and 2. The sons of Israel, Jacob, were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Joseph, Benjamin, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. Starting a book with a list of about 2,000 names might not seem like a great way to hook a reader's attention. It might seem like a waste of space, trivia that belongs in an appendix if they're but the Jewish people who value tradition and their age-old history with God, it's a perfect place to begin. And the beginning is exactly where the book starts, with Adam and his most notable descendants, spanning the first 10 generations of human history. 1 Chronicles 1 through 4. Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. By no definition are these people Jews. The Jewish race starts with Abraham, who doesn't show up until nearly 100 names into the list. But the message whose early names contain in an attention getter, God's plan for Israel began at creation. God's plan for everything began at creation. The Jews were not God's afterthought. And what this book is getting at, and this applies to all of us today too, is that God don't give up on anyone. And as long as we have a repentant heart and seek His forgiveness, He is faithful and kind and generous to give His forgiveness. Stay blessed. Stay caffeinated. Much love.